Earthfire here. Today I'm going to be doing a creativity oil. It's just going to be a simple little oil to help with any creativity blocks and stuff like that. So I thought I would go ahead and share it with you. I'm not sure if you guys know, but I do own my own Etsy shop where I make handmade soaps and stuff, and sometimes it becomes a little bit of a chore to come up with new ideas, and I thought that this would be a great oil for that purpose. So I'm going to be using a lighter oil, that way I can, use it to anoint myself with when I'm having those blockages and all of that, but you could easily use it for whatever type of magic you're doing, or use it to anoint yourself when you're having those blockages. If you are a writer, you could use it to anoint certain little areas of your desk where you're working. If you're an artist, you could anoint your paintbrushes and pencils and whatever art supplies that you use, and that will help with giving you that spark of creativity that you're maybe lacking in. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a jar. I just have an old spice jar here. I peeled the labels off of these and I use these for my apothecary and for my magical workings. So you're going to need a jar. You're also going to need a quartz crystal. This is just a little, I got a bag of them off of the internet for, a couple bucks. It's just a bunch of little shards, and I use those for my magical workings. So the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to start, cleansing our space and our tools. So I have some sage here. You can cleanse however you choose to do that. This is just normally how I do it. So I'm going to cleanse my jar. And I'm going to make sure that I, spend some extra time on this, because I did, when I was cleaning the label off this morning, I cut myself pretty badly, and I don't want those energies going into my oil. So I was just in a hurry, and I was trying to scrape the label off, and it slipped and cut me pretty deep. So I just want to make sure that's pretty well cleansed. And then I'm going to cleanse just my general area and get my sage to light, just to try and set my space. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to start with is some vitamin E oil, and I'm going to put that in the bottom of my jar, and this is going to help preserve my oil a little bit longer than what it would be before. And that, how much you use of that depends on the size of your jar. I don't have a very big jar here because I don't think that I would be using this as often as a different type of oil. So I probably got about a tablespoon here. And that's just going to kind of help preserve our oil a little bit longer than what it would have on its own. So the oil that I'm using today is just a canola oil. And I'm going to fill my jar a little less than half. And that's going to help keep the ingredients that I'm using from sticking to the bottom. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be adding is some cinnamon. Now I have cinnamon sticks here. You could use whatever type of cinnamon you have. I just find with oils, cinnamon tends to stick if you're using the powder, so I have just a cinnamon stick here. I'm going to break it in half and only use half of that. Oops. Now the next thing I'm going to be using is some sage. This is just what was left of a bundle that I've been, burning like this. When it gets so low, I will just collect the bits and pieces, and then I use them in my magic. So this is just some sage that I'm going to be adding to it. Now the sage is to help cleanse away any of those blockages that we have to our creativity. As everybody knows, sage is very cleansing and protecting, so that's why we're using it. And then the next thing that I'm going to be using is some rose, because rose is really good for creativity as well. And I'm just going to take, these are rose petals, and I'm just going to take a few and just kind of tear them up a little bit because my jar is a little small. If you have a bigger jar, then you could put them in whole. And then the next thing is chamomile. And chamomile is really great for creativity as well. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to be adding is some coffee. So coffee is really great for amplifying and giving you that extra oomph for, well, in general, whatever you're wanting to go for. So we want to amplify our creativity and give it that little extra boost that we don't have. So that was just a little bit of coffee. You could add however much you like. That was probably maybe half a teaspoon. And then the next thing is going to be grape. You could also use any type of nut or poppy seeds. Now, grape is going to be for fertility, and I know you're going to be thinking, well, we're not doing a fertility spell, right? But we want to bring fertility to our creativity. So we want our fertility or our creativity to be fruitful and produce what we're going for. So that's what the grape is for. And this is just grapevine. It grows in my yard, so it's readily available to me. But like I said, you could easily use poppy seed or any type of nuts. You could use nut shells. You could do, ground up peanut shells if you have those. But I have grape readily available to me, so I'm going to be using it. And like I said, we want to bring fertility to our creativity. So we want our creativity to grow and prosper and all of that. So we definitely need some grape for that. And then the last thing that we're going to need is just our clear quartz crystal. So clear quartz, is the universal stone. We can use it for anything. So we're going to be using it to amplify our creativity in this oil. So I'm just going to put that in there. I'm going to fill it up the rest of the way with my canola oil. And now I'm going to enchant. So I want to enchant all of my ingredients to develop my creativity, to remove any blockages from my creativity, and to cleanse away anything that may be interfering. So I'm going to go ahead and enchant. Okay, now we can put the lid on it and just give it a little shake. Isn't that gorgeous? It's a very pretty oil. Now, this oil will go and sit on my altar for 3 days. At that point, it's in my book, it's ready to use. You may feel that you're ready to use it right now. It just depends on, you know, how you work your magic and all of that. But for me, I wait 3 days, let it sit there on my altar and kind of, you know, marinate a little bit, and then I'll be ready to use it. Now, since we used a lighter oil for this, you could easily anoint yourself with this oil when you're trying to be creative in whatever way it is that you do, whether you do art or some sort of craft, whether you write, even, you know, when you're a blogger or a filmmaker, like I do videos and stuff, sometimes we get blockages for that as well and run out of ideas for what to do. So this would be a great oil for that. But it is very pretty. Okay, so that is our creativity oil. Isn't that beautiful? I love how that looks. So the ways to use this is, like I said in the beginning, you can use, since we used a little bit of a lighter oil, you can use this to anoint yourself when you're trying to be creative and come up with ideas. You can use it in any type of creativity working, if it's, you know, candle magic or whatever. You can use it to anoint your candles. You know, if you're trying to do a poppet, this would be great for that. Sachets, there, you know, any type of working. Well, this you can be used for any type of creativity working. For me, I think it's going to be a lot of just me anointing myself with this when I'm trying to be creative. Like I was saying in the beginning, I am a soap maker. I have a small shop on Etsy, and you know, sometimes it's hard to come up with new ideas, so this would be a great one for that. And I can just, you know, anoint myself when I'm trying to figure out a new recipe for soap. And you know, I'm also a crafter as well, so you know, it's great for that as well. So I hope that you guys like this, and I will see you next time. Blessed be.